ASL Prime League.
Welcome to Coda. You may remember Tempo, but he's gone. We've replaced him with someone else because apparently his power is out. We do indeed have here Fear Dragon. You can say hello in a minute. For the current moment, we got a fellow in the top left-hand corner of Coda. He's a pink Protoss player. He is...
Dead Pixels, Patience.
And his opponent spawned down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. We have the orange Protoss player. He is...
Evil Geniuses, HuK.
All right, well, thank you for the introduction, Silas. It's good to be on for the ASL. And you know what? I'm always up for a PvP, man. This is such an awesome matchup to jump into. HuK versus Patience. And, you know, HuK is one of those players who was known for a very, very long time about his PvP, man. He is it's considered one of his favorite, not necessarily matchups in terms of how much he likes to play it, but in terms of how good he is at it.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Personally, when I think of HuK, I think of some particularly awesome PvPs. Awesome being an optional word, depending on what your view is, on very low eco.
I thought you were going to be very combative with me, and you were going to say, when I think of HuK, I think of HuK on 4 gateways, or 6 gateways, or 8 gateways, versus a Zerg. And I was like, well, you know, okay, he's done with that phase in his life. He's back to good old tech plays, sometimes.
The only game that he won versus Journey was a 6-gate all-in on Echo, so...
I mean, he's good at them. He's good at them, and that goes back to our PvP right here, and that's top 3 control. Control is a very, very important part about PvP, and you know, you can make all the top 3 control jokes that you want, and he does sometimes fluff. He is still human, but he is still pretty damn good at his control, and he's gonna need it versus a player like Patience. I think Patience is actually an unbelievably top-notch player right now.
He has been faltering maybe a little bit in his PvT. Really, the only game that Patience ended up winning versus Journey, for those of you who remember it, was the game where Journey played Super Greed on, I believe, Terraform. So this is certainly mixing things up quite a bit. Immediately into the Twilight Council, we've been seeing HuK favor that. He's been favoring the Blink, and certainly that's not a surprise for anyone playing a PvP, but it's into the Stargate for Patience. He's also going to be following it up with a faster Nexus, and unfortunately for HuK, he will not quite get eyes on that Stargate just yet.
Yeah, you know, honestly, these days, when I see a player open up with Blink, as long as they do go for the robotic facility eventually, which I think HuK should be probably trying to grab pretty soon, just because he's seen so little information, but now he finally gets in with much support and actually gets a nice scout out on the Stargate. I was going to say, you have to be a little bit careful about a potential DT opening or something of the sort, but yeah, you can actually forego the robotic facility for a little bit with that extra information.
HuK gets himself 2 probe kills, and of course, as you mentioned, he's got the information that he needs. Did he necessarily see that it was an Oracle popping on out? No, but he probably can just kind of infer that it's very likely going to be an Oracle. A second Oracle will be following it up after that for Patience, as well as the Robo Bay.
Yeah, cool little tip for those of you who are out there. You can actually see, if you look at the Stargate as it's producing a unit, and you zoom in on it, you can actually see the faint little highlight, or you might want to say, like,
it depends on the graphics settings.
Oh, that's actually interesting. I did not know that. As someone who is an elitist and has a magnificently high graphic power computer, I never actually had to deal with that. I didn't know that you couldn't see it on low settings, but I'm pretty sure that HuK knows about it now, and he's been doing
he lost
a nice
2
little
probes
job
to it, so...
Yeah, normally I think Oracles, you want to kill at least 3 probes. Like, at least 3 probes.
The advantage that Patience has is he's got another opportunity. He's got himself 2 Oracles to potentially jump back into that mineral line and do that damage. HuK, on the other hand, he's pushing out into the middle of the map. He's got a fair number of Blink Stalkers, 8 in total.
And he's going to have a really nice opportunity over here, because if you look back on what exactly his Patience has, he has a couple of gateway units and an Immortal. The Immortal's going to be nice.
Back into the main go the Oracles. Both of them going to be targeting down, now up to 4 probes. They're getting a 5th. They need a couple more to really be cost-effective. 1 Oracle goes down. HuK does defend while attacking on the other front. It has Photon Overcharge. Nexus is going to add some extra DPS. It's down below half HP, or it's down below half shields. And, HuK gets pushed back. He doesn't have a particularly proxy pylon. Never mind, yes he does. I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, he does actually have a proxy pylon. He can continue this aggression over here, but the big scary thing is he going to try and blink on top of these Immortals? The Photon Overcharge is still active. He does manage to get a nice Stalker pickoff over there, and he's going to continue to get out of there without really losing any of these Stalkers on the other side of the map. The Oracle, though, going to be moving back in, seeing what damage he can do, and there's no more Stalkers in HuK's main base.
Photon Overcharge should be enough to deal with this as the Oracle gets itself 4 more probe kills, and the target down on this Nexus is HuK's goal. He gets the kill there. There's 3 Immortals on the top. The blink forward onto the high ground. Going to be jumping onto both of the Immortals, killing 2 of them. Is this gonna work? Does he have enough stock?
He's lost too much? No, he's lost way too much. He loses so many of the Stalkers, kills off 2 of the Immortals. But you have to remember, Cyber, that he has 15 workers to 23. Patience is reproducing even more workers, and will eventually, with these Immortals, be able to seize control of the game. HuK has to make some sort of miracles happen, and I think these sentries are those miracles he's hoping for. I think he may even just try and get out enough workers, expand, and try and do a force field contain on his opponent.
He's going to be stepping forward with those sentries, almost walks them up the ramp. Force field coming down from Patience at kind of the last moment. 1 pylon going to be getting sniped. It's not quite enough for a supply block. It's almost a supply block. I mean, he can build a probe. That's pretty much it for Patience. There's going to be the move forward. Probes have been pulled. HuK is looking for that angle of engagement.
Oh, this is a great angle. He's doing some really nice damage over here with the robotics, and Patience is just going to give it up. This is actually a really nice pickoff for HuK, and I love this because you notice how he has the Zealots and the Sentries over on the low ground, and he's going to be able to use these Stalkers to do these kind of pickoffs, try not to lose any of his units, and just keep Patience honest while he is just trying to sneak in a probe here and there back at home. But oh my god, there's no point sneaking the bound back at home. The Oracles pick up every single one of the probes. HuK has 0 probes left on the map. He's got to win right here, right now.
Photon Overcharge is about to pop. It's got just a couple of energy left until this Mothership Core finally has that necessary energy. There it goes. This Immortal is trapped by that force field, but the Stalker's going to be dealing with the majority of the probes and the Zealots really quite nicely. The numbers are starting to swing into the favor of Patience with that Immortal doing so much DPS, but the Blink Stalker control from HuK is pretty darn good. He doesn't have any follow-up, though. He doesn't have any fallback strategy.
He does have enough minerals to produce a probe if he needs to, but he has to do so much damage still with these Stalkers. And he's up against the 8 probes, which might not seem like a lot. That's only 2 more than you start off with, Cyber. But it's 8 times better. Sorry, it's infinitely better of an economy than HuK has right now at 0 probes. GG gets called. Patience. Wow.
Particularly interesting game on Terraform. That's my prediction thus far. One of the most boring words that you can use is interesting in a cast, but it's going to get crazy, as we do have in the bottom right-hand corner our orange Protoss player. He's down 0-1. He needs your cheers. This is...
Evil Geniuses, HuK.
And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, leading up the series 1-0. Give it up for...
Dead Pixels, Patience.
Man, Fear Dragon.
You got me too excited, man. You got me too excited, and I fumbled over my words.
Before you go on trying to talk about strategy or execution of Protoss builds, I want to bring up to you a slight anecdote from the round of 32. There was a particular group called the Parting Patience Stardust Innovative Group.
I remember that group, yeah.
And in that group, Patience, I believe, had slept about 4 hours and then had been woken up by his manager to play in the group. So he basically, his plan was that day, finish the group as quickly as possible so I can go back to sleep. When he advanced out of that group, he messaged Saber and he was like, "Can I go sleep now?" And he was like, "Yes, GG, go sleep." So in this particular case, it's like he's bringing back that just non-stop, pedal to the metal sort of feel. Proxy gateway on Terraform. It's not a double proxy gate or anything like that, so it's a little bit reserved in that comparison, but still, huge commitment.
This is going to be a little bit interesting for HuK to try and hold off. He went for the double gas opening and has already put 3 guys on each of those gas geysers. He's got to be really careful with the control, and he definitely knows exactly what kind of situation he's in right now, and is already doing a great job. Only loses 1 worker so far. Is going to be able to escape. Oh no, just barely loses 2. But still, I think pretty solid job so far. The big thing he has to be a bit careful about is that this is eventually going to lead up into Stalkers. This is a build made to try and do early damage that you can either end the game with if you're really, really good with control, or you follow it up with another big push and you end the game there. It doesn't. It's not like a Proxy 2 gate. You're not 100% all in on this.
There's so many early aggression builds that are very similar to that are almost all in, but technically do have some sort of surviving economy behind it. And certainly, this Mothership Core is going to be adding quite a bit of life to HuK.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult situation, I think, for Patience to break this. You can see he's throwing down another gateway back at home, continuing to Chrono Boost out as many units as possible just to keep HuK on the defensive. He also has to be a little bit careful because he has a gateway out on the map. He doesn't want to give up that gateway too easily without getting some kind of use from it, but it looks like he's going to have to at this point.
2 Stalkers on each side is Zealot, but the Mothership Core kind of being the difference maker for HuK. HuK manages to sneak a probe out a little bit behind the forces of his opponent, and HuK is one of those guys who seems to always manage to get out his probes when he needs them. Patience hasn't quite spotted it just yet.
Yeah, HuK is actually well known for his probe control. Even back in the early Wings of Liberty beta days, he was known for getting multiple worker kills with his scouting probe. It's a little bit insane, but we'll see if he can get a little bit of damage done with that probe as he sneaks his way out. But I think, did Patience see it? Patience may have seen it. He moves the Stalkers back, but is not going to chase after it. If he did see it, he doesn't feel like there's anything he can do about it.
Having that reinforcement point on the low ground as well is certainly nice for HuK. Keep in mind, guys, the Photon Overcharge is now a potential option for HuK. His Mothership Core recently passed 100 energy, so he's got that on the table. Patience drops down the Twilight Council, going to start to get those upgrades. His probe is desperately looking for that pylon, won't quite see it.
Yeah, Patience is in a really weird spot now, Cyber, and I'll tell you why. It's because he's forced into being aggressive right now. He has to be aggressive because he does not have that same defender's advantage that, say, HuK has right now with his Mothership Core and the Photon Overcharge. Patience never had a Mothership Core.
Yep, 3 Stalkers on the other side of the map for HuK. They're going to start walking their way into the main base. There's the defensive warp in from Patience, but it's 3 Stalkers versus 1. 2 more Zealots going to be getting warped in, and this is going to be getting extremely dangerous if both players start deciding to control on either sides of the map. Keep in mind, Patience in this best of 3 can't afford to lose 1 game technically, but he doesn't want to be in that situation. He wants to end the game right here, right now. Zealots tanking so much damage from the Stalkers and the probes. 8 probes now down 15 to 24 workers.
Oh, man.
In favor of HuK.
And at the other side of the map, Patience is just trying to A-move his way up the ramp. He kind of has to at this point, but he loses all of those units at the same time. HuK a little bit miscontrolling over here in the main base, but has already done the damage he needs to. GG gets called.
And gentlemen, welcome to Cactus Valley for the final match of Group B. It has been a wild ride tonight between Journey, Patience, and HuK. We have seen some awesome action, some awesome StarCraft 2 in the round of 16 for ASL Prime League Season 5. In the bottom left-hand corner, the man who just evened this series up 1-1. He's a legend. This is...
Evil Geniuses, HuK.
And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. It is the pink Protoss player,
Dead Pixels, Patience.
4-player maps. They introduce so many differences that you can have in this particular case. And both players actually look like they may be scouting north.
So
Let's see.
in my mind right now, there's really only like one or two things that are left that could happen that will really play a big, big influential role in a 4-player map like this. And actually, we might be seeing this with Patience going for his second pylon out in the second pylon out in the middle of the map. And this is an insanely risky thing to do. I don't know if he's doing this.
Wait a second. But HuK.
Okay, so here's my super high level. I might be wrong about this. It's speculation, but I believe that Patience has kind of said, okay, if my opponent gateway scouted and went, there's like a 50% chance that he would have come to my base if he was in the bottom left or the top right. HuK did not go to there though. He went to the top left. He's going for this proxy. Oh my God, is Patience going to go too far? And no, he doesn't see this.
He's got no reason to go further.
I think Patience took a risk and said, okay, this is the most likely place where you are. Because if you were in the top right, you're most likely to scout top left or bottom right. And if you're in the bottom left, then you're most likely to scout top left or bottom right. It's a 50-50 chance. So the highest probability after seeing that there was no scout is that my opponent's in cross spawn. But it's going to get a little bit unlucky with that. It shouldn't make too big of a difference. He does kind of know now where HuK's going to be, but does HuK know?
Well, not quite yet. And of course, HuK, he's proxying more than just that Twilight Council. Boys and girls, we have got ourselves a Dark Shrine on the way. HuK, of course, will not actually be scouting that Stargate or anything like that, so he will actually see... Oh, that Oracle almost gets spotted by the Stalker, but it will not.
All right, well, Photon Overcharge is going to be available in about 5 seconds, but a lot can happen in 5 seconds, Cyber. And Oracle already going to get started on some of these probes. Manages to kill 2 or 3 of them. There's the Photon Overcharge. And I don't actually know if the Oracle really did devastating amounts of damage. There's no follow-up Oracle either behind this. Patience is just adding on additional gateways. This could actually turn out to be a very awkward situation for Patience if he's not careful.
At the very least, as long as he keeps that Oracle alive, he has detection. He can deal with Dark Templars in that sense. HuK has packed along 1 Stalker with his probe, so he is going to have that extra bit of firepower. But, all right, first proxy pylon is down. The dance of the Stalkers has begun. And HuK.
Okay, very, very interesting. I was a little bit worried, if you see a Stalker versus a Stalker, and you have your Oracle there, you might be tempted, well, I could just get in a couple of extra little bits of damage with this Oracle, kill off my opponent's Stalker, and I'll be so far ahead with that. But no, Patience is reserving that energy, and that's the really important thing, is that he's keeping that energy alive. He may smell that something is up with the DTs. Oh my God, this is the most aggressive DT Warpin I think I've ever seen before.
Right in the face of those Stalkers, there's the detection coming out from that Oracle, and those DTs are going to be forced to morph into an Archon. That gives HuK a couple of extra shots to get off with his Stalker, but now it's gone, and of course Patience is going to be looking to clean up that Archon if at all possible. What an awkward opening for both players.
Yeah, and I think around this bends, HuK may end up losing this Archon if he's not careful. Stalkers actually halt the Archon, but they do manage to soak up the shots from these opponent Stalkers. So HuK is going to be able to get out of there with his Archon intact. Finally morphs in that third warp gate. It was kind of sitting as a gateway for a little while, but at the end of the day, I think that HuK is actually pretty okay with how things went. He didn't end up losing the Archon, which is a really big deal.
He's up on probe. Oh, the Archon may end up going down. No, Patience decides to focus down one of the Stalkers.
Wow.
Loses the Stalker of his own. Even the probe getting in a bit of a zap there from HuK, and Patience is forced to back away.
Well, Patience still has that Oracle live, can still do little bits of damage, so HuK has to be very, very careful about trying to move out, even with Blink finishing up, and we actually could be seeing a return of that Oracle pretty soon, but I don't know, it's one of those questions. Do you, with the Robotic Facility out, do you just produce Immortals, or do you actually invest into the Observer, weaken your defense against the Stalkers, but now you have detection, and you can send the Oracle across the map to do counter damage? It's kind of a decision point for Patience.
Definitely a difficult kind of choice to make. For now, it's just straight up Immortals. He wants to survive more than anything. He's got that Nexus on the way. Securing that economic advantage is paramount in his sights. And, yeah, just more Immortals. Now, of course, as we saw in game number 1, an Oracle was one of the deciding factors for Patience. It could be once again. It's closing in on the main base of HuK as HuK is trying to get that damage out on the Natural Nexus in the main base of HuK. The Oracle comes in, Photon Overcharge gets popped. There's actually going to be just a little bit, actually no damage done. So yeah, going to be forcing the Observer at home.
Yeah, but the Immortal count is starting to climb a little bit. But the Observer coming out is actually going to be a really big deal, because that means he's not going to have additional Immortals coming out right now. So if he loses these Immortals, these Blink Stalkers are going to become so incredibly valuable. But HuK is losing a lot of Stalkers trying to snipe down that Immortal. He's even going to be able to pick off the Archon? No! Wow, he just barely keeps it alive again. And HuK takes a nice little army lead.
Somehow that Archon has survived near-death experiences more than once. An additional gateway going to be coming in for HuK. He's trying to push and do that damage. The Archon goes down. Finally, that Hero Stalker sacrificing itself from Patience, and Patience would have loved for this mineral investment.
The Oracle, it goes back in. The Monster Core is on the other side of the map. There's no ability to Photon Overcharge. It didn't have the energy for Photon Overcharge anyways. And look at this. He's already killing so many workers. Up to 11 workers. 12 workers going to be killed off. And HuK, he's killed off a Nexus, but I mean, is it really worth it if you lose all of your workers back at home again?
15 probes going down, as you mentioned, Fear Dragon. The count of workers is double Patience, double for Patience, 28 to 14. Boys and girls, we do have quite the economic disparity on our hands. An additional Oracle now being warped in, as Saber was demonstrating there. Patience needs to hold on and just survive the next couple of minutes.
I think that HuK has to win right now. Losing the Monster Core is actually a really big deal. He no longer has the high ground vision, so in any kind of aggressive blink up is going to be a little bit more difficult. He has to blink one Stalker up and then the rest of them, but it looks like he is going to be able to secure that high ground position. And he's going to be dealing with Photon Overcharge, but he focuses down the Immortal.
Doesn't quite get it. He does still have quite a few Stalkers, even a couple of Zealots mixed in there. There's the blink away from Patience. He's trying to commit to finish them off. That Immortal does get finally picked off and killed by HuK. The Warping and Zealots are being dealt with nicely by HuK. He's taking so much damage from Photon Overcharge. Finally, he's able to get away. He's done that bit of damage, but it's a couple of moments. Oh no, the Oracle.
This was the big timer for HuK. Once these workers go down, he maybe has another 30 seconds before this really starts impacting his production, and he's unable to reinforce. And here we end up seeing HuK going in for the final kind of hurrah, but it's not going to be enough.
GG gets called. Patience will be your second player to advance from Group B in the round of 16 for ASL Season 5 Prime League. We have 2 more players of our round.
Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to support the ASL by hitting the button now.